The city was quiet, an unnatural stillness that felt like a held breath. As Zara and Ayaan stepped onto the deserted sidewalk, the silence pressed in on them, heavy and suffocating. Ayaan's hands trembled, his fingers wrapped tightly around the strange, cracked watch strapped to his wrist. Its internal glow was faint, a weak pulse of light against his skin, but he could feel its energy humming, a low thrum that echoed the frantic beat of his own heart. "Zara, I can feel it again," he said, his voice a strained whisper, barely audible in the dead air. "The shadows, they're coming back." Zara's hand shot out, her fingers gripping his arm with a reassuring firmness that belied the fear in her own eyes. "Then we have to be ready," she insisted, her gaze scanning the empty street. "Whatever it wants, it's testing you, Ayaan. You can control it. We've seen you do it." Ayaan gave a short, jerky nod, though the terror flickering in his eyes was impossible to hide. He glanced down at the watch, at the network of fractures spreading across its glass like a spiderweb. Tiny, electric blue sparks skittered along the fissures, dancing with a life of their own. "I hope so," he breathed, his voice tight. "I don't know how much longer I can hold it. It's like it's alive, and it's hungry." A cold dread coiled in Zara's stomach. "Then we can't let it feed," she said, her voice hardening with resolve. "We fight before it gains power. We strike first." As if summoned by her words, the shadows began to move. They bled from the alleyways and stretched from the bases of streetlights, their forms elongating in ways that defied the soft afternoon sun. They flowed like thick, dark liquid across the pavement, their tendrils curving toward them with a predatory grace. The air grew frigid, the sunlight dimming as if a storm cloud had instantly blotted out the sky. Across the street, people were frozen mid-stride, their faces locked in expressions of silent, wide-eyed horror. Instinct took over. Ayaan threw his hands up, and the glow from the watch exploded outward, expanding into a shimmering, translucent dome of light that enveloped them. The advancing shadows hissed, a sound like dry leaves skittering across concrete, and recoiled as if burned. "It's coming faster than before," Zara shouted over the rising cacophony, her hands clenched into fists. "Hold it, don't let it touch you." The first tendril of darkness slammed into the barrier, striking with the force of a physical blow. The dome of light shuddered, and Ayaan staggered, a grunt of effort escaping his lips. He struggled to maintain his focus, to channel his will into the protective shield as sweat streamed down his forehead, stinging his eyes. "It's too strong," he gasped, his arms trembling violently from the strain. I can't push it back." Zara moved closer, her presence a solid anchor in the swirling chaos. She placed her hands firmly on his shoulders, her voice cutting through his panic. "Focus on us, Ayaan. Protect me and yourself. Anchor your mind. You're stronger than your fear." Her words struck a chord deep within him. The barrier pulsed, its light flaring with renewed intensity. Another shadow crashed against it, then a third and a fourth, a relentless barrage of darkness. But each time a tendril struck, Ayaan's will, fueled by Zara's encouragement, surged back, sending the inky shapes retreating in a furious hiss. He gritted his teeth, the muscles in his jaw aching. "I can do this! I will do this!" he vowed, a desperate mantra against the encroaching night. Suddenly, a thin serpentine shadow exploited a flicker in the barrier, slithering through a near, invisible crack in the light. It moved with unnatural speed, a blur of motion before it wrapped itself around Ayaan's ankle, its touch like ice. The cold shot up his leg, instantly freezing him to the ground. He cried out, a sharp scream of pain and surprise. The watch on his wrist flared violently, its light burning hot against his skin. "Zara, I can't move." Zara lunged, her fingers clawing at the solidified shadow, but it was like trying to pull apart solid steel. It was useless. "Fight it with your mind, Ayaan." She yelled, her voice frantic. "Don't let it win. Think of control. Think of power. Force it out." The shadow hissed, tightening its grip like a constrictor, and the world around them began to distort, the edges of buildings warping and stretching as if seen through a heat haze. Zara's heart pounded against her ribs. She realized with a sickening lurch that this wasn't just a brute force attack. The shadows weren't just trying to break through. They were testing him, probing his connection to the watch, searching for a weakness in his control. Ayaan gritted his teeth so hard he thought they would crack. He squeezed his eyes shut, blocking out the distorted world and the constricting darkness. He forced his mind inward, searching for the energy thrumming from the watch, the glowing heartbeat that now felt like a part of him. "I am stronger than fear," he roared, the words tearing from his throat. Light erupted from him in a blinding, concussive wave. The shadow encasing his leg didn't just retreat. It dissolved, evaporating into a fine black mist that vanished into nothingness. Zara gasped, the tension leaving her in a rush. She threw her arms around him, holding on tight as he sagged against her. "You did it! You controlled it!" But Ayaan fell back, landing hard on his knees, his body shaking with exhaustion. He panted, his chest heaving. It's still hungry," he murmured, his eyes wide with a lingering horror. "I can feel it. The shadow, it's not gone. It's waiting." Zara's eyes narrowed, her mind already racing. "Then we need to strike first next time. No more waiting for it to come to us. And we need to learn the rules. Why does it keep coming back? Why does it only target you?" The watch on his wrist pulsed again, a slow, deliberate beat. More sparks traced the cracks along its glass, illuminating the intricate damage. Ayaan stared at it, a new and more profound horror dawning on his face. I think it wants more than just control," he whispered, his voice trembling. "It wants me." Zara took a deep, steadying breath, her fear overshadowed by a fierce protectiveness. "Then we make it fight for us," she declared. "You're the key, Ayaan, but you're also the lock. That's why it can't fully take you, not yet." A sudden, intense chill ran down Zara's spine, a cold that had nothing to do with the shadow's lingering presence. Her gaze was drawn to the far end of the street. From the deepest recess of an alley, another figure was emerging, not a formless tendril, but a humanoid shape. Cloaked in shifting darkness, its movements fluid and unnervingly precise. 2 points of light glowed from within its hood, like burning embers. "Zara," Ayaan whispered, his voice cracking. "It's different this time." The figure stopped at the edge of the street, its head tilting slightly as if observing them. Slowly, it lifted a hand, its fingers long and slender, and pointed directly at Ayaan. In perfect sync, the watch on his chest pulsed violently, its light flaring brighter than ever before, a beacon in the twilight. "It recognizes me," he said, the raw fear in his voice unmistakable. Zara grabbed his hand, her grip an unbreakable promise. "Then we face it together. Whatever it is, we don't back down." The shadow creature took a gliding step forward, and the very air around them rippled with an unseen power. The world seemed to pause, time itself holding its breath. The cracks in the watch spread, infinitesimally small but visible, as more sparks flew from its surface. The figure paused again, its glowing eyes fixed on them for a long, terrifying moment. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it dissolved back into the darkness, leaving only a chilling whisper that seemed to echo directly inside their minds. "You cannot escape the choice." The second path awakened soon. Zara and Ayaan stared at each other, the unspoken question hanging in the air between them. The city sounds slowly returned, the distant hum of traffic, the rustle of leaves, as if nothing had happened. But they both knew the truth. The world was no longer normal. The battle was far from over, and with every confrontation, Ayaan's link to the watch, to the power it held, had only deepened. The siblings turned and started the walk home, their hearts pounding in a synchronized rhythm of fear and defiance. Somewhere, in the depths of the shadows, something far more intelligent and dangerous waited. And next time, it wouldn't just be a test. Next time, it would decide their fate.